All right, same thing, rate law, rate constant, orders, overall order. See what you come up with. It's actually not a dumb question. Probably half of the people didn't even notice that, right? So you do need to include the times 10 to the minus 7 on those numbers, right? So sometimes people miss that part of it. The good news is if you miss that part, you'll be okay to the very end. Then you'll be off, but then you'll be okay on the orders, but you will not be okay on that. So you do have to include that in there. See, most people missed it. I'm telling you, it always happens. Yeah, so this is an important part right there, actually. As was question mentioned, it is actually quite important there, especially at the end part, when you're calculating the rate constant. Otherwise, again, you're going to be off by that factor. So here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go with our rate law here. That's going to be our K. We're going to go NH4 plus to the X and our NO2 minus to the Y. I'm going to look at this and see, looks like 1 and 2 looks like a good move. So I'm going to go experiments 1 and 2. And again, take the 32.3 times 10 to the minus 7 on top. And I'm going to do our K 0.06 to the X and 0.2 to the Y. And again, we're going to go with the first guy there, which we also would want to times 10 to the minus 7. Again, if you left that part off because you're dividing, it will come out the same. But your K value at the end, again, will not be right. And this. So doing that there, going to get us 32.3 to the minus 7 divided by 10.8 to the minus 7. Going to give us really 2.99. That's pretty close to 3. So I'm just going to round it in this case. Those guys are going to cancel. These guys here is going to give me 3 to the X, and those guys will completely cancel, which means in this case, my order with respect to the NH4 plus should be 1 in this case. Again, if you did a natural log both sides with a 2.99, you'll get pretty close to, again, 1 on the round when you do it. Now coming here, we're going to go with 3 and 4 here, which is constant. So experiments 3 and 4. Going to go with this guy up on top, which is the larger. So 21.6 times 10 to the minus 7 equals K 0.2 to the X, 0.04404 to the Y. Going to go with the other guy there on the bottom. So that's going to give me, I believe there are 2, if I'm not mistaken. And those guys are going to cancel. These guys will completely cancel. That should give me a 2 as well, which means my Y is going to equal 1 in this case. That means that my completed rate law will look something like this. The rate is equal to K NH4 plus to the first order, NO2 minus to the first order. That also means that my overall order here is going to be 1 plus 1, which would be a second order reaction. Yeah. Any questions on that so far? Now that we have that, we can solve for our K. We will rearrange. The rate will equal our NH4 plus and our NO2 minus. And this is the point where if you ignored the times 10 to the minus 7 part, this is where your number is going to be off, right? Because you don't have that. So we want to make sure we don't ignore any of that information in those titles. I'm going to go with the very first one to put in there. So 10.8 times 10 to the minus 7 molar seconds divided by 0.02 molar and 0.2 molar in this case. And that's going to give me 10.8 to the minus 7 divided by 0.02 and divided by 0.2. And that will get me a rate constant of 2.7 times 10 to the minus 4. Unit-wise, molarity on top and bottom will cancel, giving us 1 over molar seconds, which we've seen a number of times for our second order reaction overall. Yeah. Yeah, so when you're going to solve for K, you could choose any of the entries, but you have to choose all of them together. You can't mix and match, otherwise you will get the wrong answer.